Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Kuli English Podcast. It's me, your host, Chris. So this time, I want to talk to you about something kind of childish. So it might sound like something kids would talk about, but I love scooters. Okay, so if you don't know what a scooter is kind of like a bike. It's something that kids ride on for fun. It's like a toy. There's two wheels, so one in the front and one in the back. But instead of having a seat that you sit on for a bike, on a scooter, there's no seat. You just stand on it. And it's kind of similar. You can steer to the left and you can steer to the right. But anyways, when I was growing up, all the cool kids had a scooter. But I wasn't a cool kid. I was a loser, so I didn't have a scooter. And actually, like, as a kid, sometimes you really want something. For example, like a bike. You'll go to your parents and you ask, please, 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 can I have a bike? And then one day your parents are like, oh, fine. And then you get a bike, and then you're like, yeah, and you're like the happiest kid ever, okay? So you're ecstatic. And then you ride the bike every day for like a week, and then one day you just get tired of it, and then you stop riding it. It's not fun anymore. And that's just pretty normal for a kid. But for me, I never got a scooter as a kid. So I just had this yearning, this feeling of I want it. I kept that feeling with me for like 10 years. And then when I went to college, I bought a scooter. And this is with my own money. So I rode that scooter for over 2 years. And so for 2 years, I was the 20-year-old guy riding a kid's scooter. And that's how much I love scooters. And I guess if you hear that story, you might be thinking, oh, either Chris loves scooters or maybe Chris is just really cheap, because I bought it with my money and I got to get my money's worth. Don't waste money, so don't waste money. And I think the answer is both. I like it and I wanted to save money. So today I'm going to be talking about scooters, skateboards, and also a story where I almost died in college. So let's get started right away after this music break. Okay, so in college, I got a scooter, and I was pretty happy with it. And by the way, I should mention, there are basically two types of scooters. One is the normal one for kids, and that one has small wheels, okay? And small wheels are bad. You don't want small wheels. Small wheels are bad because if there's bumps or cracks in the road, then when you're going, you're going to your scooter's going to get its wheel stuck in that. And then if the scooter gets stuck, that's bad for you because you fall and then or you get stuck, but it just sucks. It's a bad time. Okay, and the one that I got in college, it was one with big wheels. Okay, and big wheels are good because big wheels, when you go over a bump, then sometimes you can just ignore the bump completely and it's okay. It's not as good as a bike, but scooters are more fun in my opinion. So anyways, I also need to be fair here. So the scooter was really good for me, but I need to talk about the downsides too. So downside number one, scooters are really good for going downhill, but it sucks to go uphill. Okay, so uphill, who's got to power the scooter? You do. So you basically go up and then you're like, wait, I don't have any more speed. And then you have to pick up the scooter and kind of walk. And it's just an extra workout. It's extra weight that you have to carry. It's kind of annoying sometimes. And then there's downside number two. And I don't really know how to say this, but it's lame. So it's not cool. Okay. The scooters, they're meant for kids. And then, if you're not a kid, so if you're a grown 20-year-old man like me in college, then you're going to get looks. Okay. So people are going to look at you. And also scooters are actually pretty loud. So every now and then I would go to class and then I got to fold up the scooter, right? You can collapse it and then it takes up less space. But when you fold it, it's metal, so it makes a big noise, and then people look, right? Because it's a loud noise. And then remember, scooters are lame, so people look at you and they're thinking wait, is that a scooter? Isn't that meant for kids? And then you get these looks when you go to class, but it's even worse when you go to the library, right? Because the library is kind of like a class, but it's even more quiet, and you're supposed to be quiet. So you'll go in there and you'll be like, oh, it's so quiet here. Okay. You can go over there and sit down over there. I got to fold up my scooter and then I'll be right over there, okay? And then you fold up the scooter and everyone's like, huh? And then, so if you really care about your image, then scooters are not good for you. And by the way, I'm completely fine with it. I don't care. Actually, I kind of like it when people think I'm lame. It just reminds me of how much I like my scooter. But if you're thinking about getting a scooter, you should double check with yourself. Number one, is it actually going to be useful? And then number two, If people look at you and they think you're lame, like, are you going to be sad? And for me in college, it was a perfect match for me. It was great. It was one of the best purchases I've ever made. Okay, let's take a short little music break here. Okay, let's continue. So at this point, we all get the main idea. Okay, so during college, I love scooters. But I went through phases. Okay, so like some stuff will come and go, some stuff will change. And I started liking something else. Or maybe I should say I started liking someone else. So in college, I had a part-time job as a teacher, and my boss was like the most popular professor in the whole computer science department. So everybody loved my boss. Okay, this professor was really funny, really good at teaching, and just a really cool person. So of course I also like this professor, and I still remember the very first time I talked with my boss one-on-one. I was so nervous. I said a bunch of stupid stuff, and it was actually really embarrassing. But this professor also likes skateboarding, and so then I was like, oh, I can like skateboarding too. I can learn it. And then by the way, this professor is a dude, so he has like a happy family and a daughter with like a cool name. So if you're looking for like a forbidden teacher-student romance, this is not it. Okay, but anyways, because of that professor, I always wanted to learn how to skateboard. And then one day I got the chance to learn. So in the summer before my senior year, like before my fourth year of college, I had an internship in Seattle, and I was working for a company called Facebook. If you don't know what Facebook is, I feel so old for saying it, but like Facebook used to be popular, and now people don't really use Facebook. But Facebook also makes like Instagram, like Threads, Messenger. But anyways, Facebook is famous for giving like nice perks to people who work there. So giving you nice benefits. And one of those benefits is something called a wellness benefit. And what that means is basically if you spend money on doing something that's good for your health, then the company will pay for it. So like a gym membership or like a tennis class or like a karate class. Basically anything that counts as exercise, the company will pay for. And then actually massages also count as like under this benefit. So if you get a massage, the company will pay for it. Is it really exercise? I don't really know, but if you sit at like a computer all day and you do computer work, then maybe a massage is good for your health. I don't know. So anyways, I thought this was the perfect time to like try skateboarding because the company's going to pay for it. Don't waste money, don't waste money. So what did I do? I went to Amazon.com and I bought a skateboard. But not just a skateboard, okay? So I might be weird, but I'm a very safe, weird person. So I bought like a helmet and I bought a bunch of stuff, okay? I bought elbow pads, I bought knee pads, and I bought like these hand and wrist protectors. So I'm like fully suited up, okay? I got a full set of armor. I basically look like Iron Man, except like Iron Man looks cool, and I just look kind of super lame. But I was very safe, and that's what's important. So then I went to this really big parking lot area. And then for some reason, this parking lot never had any like cars. I don't know if they were still like in business or anything. But anyways, I was practicing skateboarding here. And within the first 5 minutes, I fell. And I should be okay, right? Because remember, I'm Iron Man, right? I'm like super suited up. I got my helmet, I got my elbow pads, my knee pads, my wrist pads, my hands. Like, where could I possibly get hurt? And I fell on my side, okay? So like, I don't have anything there. But like the spot in your jeans where you have a pocket, I fell on that area. And then in the pocket, I had a key. And that key basically was like, oh, Chris, you fell? Here, let me help and attack you. And then so like the key kind of stabbed me like in the side. So like I was not only bruised there, but also I like bled a little bit. And it was really painful. And it sucks. And I don't really have anyone else to blame because it's like 100% my own fault. But yeah, but there's a saying, no pain, no gain. No pain, no gain. And what that means is if you don't have pain, then you won't gain. So basically, if you want to get better at something, you need to pay with some pain. And, I paid my pain, right? And what did I gain? Well, sadly, I didn't even get my money back. Do you remember how I said Facebook would pay for like the wellness benefit because skateboarding is exercise, right? And so exercise should be covered under the wellness benefit. Well, I asked Facebook, oh, can I have like $100 back for the skateboard stuff? And they were like, no, we don't reimburse equipment. And so I was like, oh, okay. So I basically spent like $100 on my own money to hurt myself. But it's fine. Like at least I learned how to skateboard. Okay, let's take a short little break here. Okay, so when I got back to Berkeley, I had basically two main ways to get around, right? Like I can ride my scooter like before, or I can ride the skateboard. And these two things, they're actually like the complete opposites, okay? And what I mean by that is like if you're on a skateboard, sometimes people will come up to you and be like, "Oh, dude, you know how to skateboard, man?" And you can respond like, "Oh, yeah, dude, I can skateboard, dude." It's like a compliment. But then for a scooter, it's the opposite, okay? If you have a scooter, like no one ever comes up to you and says like, "Oh my God, you can ride a scooter. That's so sexy." Like nobody says that because nobody's thinking that. Because number one, scooters are like meant for kids. And number two, I'm like a 20-year-old college student, like riding a kid's scooter, right? So the real reaction that people have is probably something like, loser. Probably something like that. But anyways, I really like both. Okay, so the skateboard's like the new fun toy. And then the scooter is like the old toy that has a special place in my heart. So it's like, it's always fun for me no matter what. I'm always going to like it. But in my experience, like the biggest difference between the two, it's not the image. It's like how well you can control it. And also like the safety for that. So what I mean by that is like a scooter, like you can turn anytime. Okay, you can turn to the left, you can turn to the right, and you can brake anytime. And the brakes, there's like three of them. You have a brake on like both of your hands and also like on the back wheel that you can use your foot for. So it's like pretty easy. You can do all these and they don't interfere with each other. But for a skateboard, if you haven't ridden a skateboard before, like you like to stop on the skateboard, you have to basically take one foot off the skateboard and then kind of drag it behind you. So imagine like a pencil eraser, and you're like erasing some pencil. You like drag it behind you, and then if you do it too hard, then you fall. And if you do it too soft, then you don't really break. So it's actually kind of hard. And since you only have one foot on the skateboard, like it's kind of hard to turn too. You really want both feet on the skateboard to turn. So anyways, let's take a short little break, and then I'll tell you about the story how I almost died on a skateboard. Okay, let's get into story time. So one day, my roommate and I were going to go eat at Eureka with some friends. Eureka is a burger chain in the US, and they have really good fries. I highly recommend it. But we were running a little bit late. Okay, so what do? No problem. We don't have to walk. We don't have to run. We have a scooter and a skateboard, okay, because I have both. And so my roommate borrowed my scooter because I don't think he knew how to skateboard at the time. And then I ride the skateboard. And where we lived in a place called Northside. And there's like this really long, nice downhill slope on the way to Eureka, like the burger chain where we're going. And it's a really nice like downhill slope, but it's kind of steep. Okay, it's kind of fast if you go. But we've been living here for a while, so like we know what we're doing. And then there's really only one part of it that's like dangerous, and that's like near the end. At the end, there's a stop sign for us. And there's no stop sign for everyone else. So there's like this dangerous intersection. And you definitely want to stop there because no one else is stopping. So if you just go in there, suddenly you're probably going to crash into something. So it's actually not good. So then, we were going down this route and we know what we're doing, going pretty fast, and it's okay. And then comes the scary part. So like near the end, some guy basically just backed up with his car. Okay, so he's in his car and he backs up, and then his car is blocking the whole street. And then, it was really sudden. I didn't really have much time to react. I didn't have enough time to stop. So what do? I have basically two choices. Number one, I can just like crash into his car and then, I don't know, break a window or something. And then I probably, won't die or anything, but I can blame him. I can be like, hey, it's your fault. You shouldn't have backed up like that. And it's definitely his fault. Like I could have argued that and I would have won. But, I didn't want to crash into his car. So we have the other option, which is I basically just suddenly turned up and went onto the sidewalk. Okay, so I'm not braking at this point. Okay, so on a skateboard you have to choose between like slowing down or turning. So at that point I chose to turn. So like I'm going around the car, I'm going up on the sidewalk, and then I ended up in like a even more dangerous situation. So like now I'm on the sidewalk, like right before the dangerous intersection, and I have a lot of speed. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to stop. Okay, like I really want to stop because I don't want to die. So like I have my foot and it's dragging behind me as hard as I can, as if my life depended on it. Okay, which means like with a lot of effort. So like trying really really hard to brake, and then my foot was starting to get really hot from dragging on the ground, and then I probably put too much weight on it because I was under a lot of pressure, and then I flipped. Okay, so like the skateboard just flies forward and I fly into the air. And then I crashed down and I rolled a little bit like through the road. And I remember thinking oh, I'm probably gonna wake up in the hospital, like, oh, like maybe I won't be able to walk again, and then just hear a lot of like, "Arr!" That's the tire screeching. Like, sorry, my sound effects aren't very good, but actually, I was super lucky and nothing hit me. Okay, so there's this one really big white car that was about to hit me, and then he like, he like slammed the brakes, and then I was at this point I was just like in the middle of that intersection. And then the moment I stopped rolling, like I'm scared for my life, right? So like I just stood up and I like ran to the other side. And it's like an animal that just suddenly comes out of nowhere, and then like runs away. So that's me. And then after I made it to the other side, like I saw the driver of that white car, and then he gave me this look, and his hands are up in the air, like shrugging. He's like, what's wrong with you? You almost ruined my car, you stupid. And then he drove off. And me, I didn't have any reaction, right? Because I was just like, oh, am I okay? Am I alive? And my roommate, he saw the whole thing, right? And then so he got the skateboard like when it flew off. And then I remember, this is gonna sound so dumb, but the first thing that I said to him was like, hey, are my limbs still here? And limbs meaning like arms and legs. So basically I was like checking, like, do I have all my arms and legs? And like, yeah, of course I have all of them, or else I wouldn't have been able to like run across there. But I'm kind of surprised from the situation. And then like, he was like, yeah, your limbs are still there. And I was like, do I have any scratches or injuries? And then, like I had him check my face to see if I have like any like injuries or anything. And he's like, no, you're good. And then so I was like, okay. And what do? Well, we're late for burgers, so we just, continue skateboarding and scootering, probably a little bit more carefully that time. And then finally we got to Eureka, we got to the burger place, and then our friends are kind of annoyed because we're late, right? So they're like, oh my God, why are you guys so late? And then we have a pretty good excuse, right? It's like, oh, Chris almost died. And they're like, oh, well, you seem fine, so let's go ahead and just eat. And then, we had some burgers, and it was a good time. Anyways, let's take a short little break here. Okay, so that was a skateboarding story where I almost died. And by the way, I really believe that I'm a really lucky person, okay? Because I didn't die, I didn't get injured, but I want to be extra clear about something, okay? So I was just lucky. And being lucky, it's very rare, it's unlikely. So if I went and tried that same skateboarding thing again, like I probably won't get lucky, and then I'll get hurt, or in the worst case, I'll die. And it's the same for you, okay? So what do? Just don't do it. Okay? No amount of money or peer pressure is worth risking your life. Okay? You only get one life and you get one body, and you don't get a redo. You can't just buy a new body. And you don't want to spend the rest of your life in a wheelchair regretting like something that you've done that you could have just walked away from. So what's the best thing to do? Just be smart and maybe a little bit boring today so that tomorrow you can wake up and still be able to walk. Okay? So just to review, we talked about skateboarding and my story about how I almost died, but I didn't die because I was lucky. And then that's why I'm here now. Yay. And earlier we also talked about scooters and how scooters are meant for kids. So actually, scooters are like meant for kids, but recently scooters became more accessible for adults. And so they became more friendly for adults to use. And that's because of the electric scooter. Okay, so for a normal scooter, you have to use your own power. Okay, you have to push the scooter with your legs. And if the ground is like downhill or if it's flat, then it's like pretty okay. But then if it's uphill, like you have to push, you're like, it sucks, okay? But with an electric scooter, you don't have to use your own power. You don't use your own legs. You just use electricity. You just push a button. Okay, so all you got to do is push the button. And if you want to go slow, you push the button a little bit. And if you want to go fast, you push the button like all the way down. And then like you can't go super fast because, for safety reasons, they don't let you go too fast. But you can still go pretty fast. I'm pretty happy with it. And boy, actually, let me tell you, the electric scooter is truly amazing, okay? And if you haven't tried it before, you should definitely try it. Okay, there's a ton of like self-rental scooters out there. So basically like scooters available to rent. And all you have to do is just scan the QR code with your phone. And then depending on where you are, like the scooters usually belong to some different company, but each company has like a different app, which might be annoying. But the process is always the same, okay? Like you download the app, you register, and then you scan the QR code, and then you're good to go. Also, I should mention that like when you register, you have to pass their test before you can ride it. So like when you register, you have to answer all the questions correctly before you can ride the electric scooter. And they'll have questions like, is it okay to run a red light? And the answer is no. And then, is it okay to cross a green light after checking your surroundings? And the answer is yes. And they have another question that's like, is it okay to ride a scooter with two people to save money? And the answer is no, and that's what you should say on the test. But I love doing that. Okay, so riding a scooter with two people, it's so fun. And I'll tell you a story about that, but I just want to make sure that we all know the end of the story, which is like I get in trouble with the police and I had to pay a fine of 5,000 yen. So don't ride twinsies if you're a good person, but it's fun. So anyways, once I went to my friend's house, and then someone was basically talking about how they got pulled over by the police while they're riding their scooter. So they're riding the scooter, and the police like come up to them to stop them, and then they ran a red light, and that just means like they ignored a red light and crossed the intersection when they shouldn't have. And then so the police goes up to them, and they're like, 信号無視ですね. It's like, oh, you ignored the traffic signal, huh? And then they had to pay a fine, and the fine was like 6,000 yen. And then so, they're kind of like a little bit sad. And everyone else is like, ha, you got caught. Ha, you had to pay a fine. Ha, 6,000 yen. Ha. But, it's fine. We're just teasing. And then on the way home, I took a scooter. And I was extra careful because I had just heard this story about someone getting fined for 6,000 yen. So like I made it to a stop, right? To the red light. And then sometimes I just like cross the red light. But this time, I literally just heard the story about the 6,000 yen fine. So I'm like an extra good boy. So I stopped there, and I was a very good boy. And then, the light turned green. So then I slowly crossed, and like, I'm like the safest scooter driver around. And I remember thinking like, wow, I'm a good scooter driver. I'm obeying all the rules. And then the police came. And so like, they're like flashing their police lights like, wee-oo, wee-oo, wee-oo. And then you hear on the loudspeaker like, tomari kudasai, which means like, please stop. And then I stopped, and then I was like, please, Mr. Policeman, I stopped at the red light. I didn't do anything wrong. Please, what's the problem? And then the policeman was like, yeah, but you have two people on the scooter. You can't do that. And then, so I did have two people on the scooter. And, some stuff like you can hide, okay? So for example, if you're like trying to hide something small, like you could probably put it in your backpack, or like if you like have some food and you're not supposed to have food, like maybe like a donut, you can just eat it all at once and then it's gone. No proof. But, if you get pulled over for riding a scooter with two people, there's no way to hide that. There's a whole extra person. You can't fit that person in your backpack. You can't just eat that person. Like, I guess you could have them like run away, but everyone can see them running away, and then it looks really suspicious. But anyways, so like we two got in trouble, so we're just like looking at the ground, like, sorry sir, we didn't know. And the police was like, oh, you didn't know? Hey, when you signed up for the app, you took a test, right? And I was like, yes, sir. He was like, and on that test, was there a question that said, can you ride a scooter with two people? And I was like, yes, sir. And he's like, what is the answer? And I was like, you can't do it. It's illegal. And then I didn't have anything else to say because, I was completely wrong here. It's 100% my fault. This policeman's 100% correct. So then I had to pay a fine. I had to pay a fine of 4,000 yen. And the best part of it was my fine was only not 4,000, it was 5,000 yen. And we had two people, right? So if you split the cost of the fine, like warikan, like you split it equally, then it's 2,500 yen per person. And then, it's still better than the $6,000 fine that someone else had to pay. But no, I'm just kidding. Okay. So the most important thing is you should not break the rules, unless you really, really want to, and you're going to have a lot of fun and you're okay paying a fine. So anyways, let's go ahead and wrap things up. So in this episode, we talked about scooters, skateboards, and electric scooters. And remember, the most important thing is your safety. Okay, so you got to protect your life and protect your body. Okay, you don't get extra backups of those. So have fun, but don't forget to be safe, or else you might regret it. And if you like this podcast or you want to help me out, then feel free to share this episode with someone that you think might like it. And remember, my recommendation is to listen to just the audio. So you can do chores like, folding laundry, or you can wash the dishes, or maybe like, I don't know, on some kind of commute while you're driving or something. And for listening to the audio, you can use any podcast app. Okay, so there's like Spotify, there's like Apple Podcasts, and there's like a lot of other options. But if you really, really want to, you can watch the YouTube version, which has the subtitles. And the contents are the same. Okay, so I talk about the exact same thing. It's the exact same audio, except like in the video, you can see my mouth moving and my hands are sometimes moving, but it doesn't matter. Like it's really all the audio that's the most important. And so with that, thanks so much for listening, and I hope to see you next time on Kuli English Podcast.